You're a best-selling author, a 7 and 8 figure founder. You've been on stages that most people could only dream about. So why on earth does the idea of evolving your brand feel like the scariest thing that you've done in years? And look, at this level, it's not imposter syndrome, right? We're not worried about that. It's something much more specific. And today we're actually naming it. Because the biggest thing holding back high achieving entrepreneurs isn't strategy. It isn't budget. It isn't time. It's actually very specific fears that we've never made the room to say out loud. So let's change that. When I think of the common fears that we hear when we're in the boardrooms with our clients, when we're in our one-on-one VIP intensives, the things that come up most often are things like this. Will changing my brand cost me everything I've already built? This one's huge. I don't know, Gretchen,
That's
maybe you've heard this too, but it's this unspoken objection that really holds a lot of thought leaders back from making that next shift. You've spent all this time and effort and energy to build your brand up to where it is now, and you're feeling this itch or this tickle to do something different.
Yep.
You're really wondering, what's it going to take? Like, does that mean that it's dismantling what I've built over the last 10, 15 plus years, right? So this is a real concern that we see a lot of our clients have. And I really like to think about it from this standpoint. This is not about erasing any of your past. This is really an evolution, right? It's about how do we take the biggest highlights, the best wins, the core things that your audience knows you for. How do we acknowledge that while moving forward in a new direction? So it's really, in my mind, it's more about like honoring the past while really moving up to that next level. And the beauty of this is that your reputation is actually the reason why it's okay for you to have a shift, because you've proven yourself, right?
Yeah.
People know.
Yeah.
People know. They're like, okay, I've seen this thought leader, I've seen this influencer, I've seen this entrepreneur be consistent for so many years that, listen, when it comes time that they want to share something new, I'm tapped in. And so I think it's really important to realize that it doesn't mean you're going to lose anything. It's really about how you can weave that into a new story. And, one example that I'll give that Layla has shared a million times in her own story is, in her words, I went from bloody and brawling. We're talking about Layla Ali, the boxer. She says, I went from bloody and brawling to wanting to be in the health and wellness lifestyle space and really encouraging my audience to make small steps and differences. How do I do that without wiping out or lowering all of these incredible fans I've built over the years of my boxing career? She had a 9 or 10 year boxing career before making a shift. So that's a real thing. Like, how do I go from this to this? But the beauty of it was, when we sat down and we started digging into her story and really taking the time to go, okay, what is true for you now and where do you want to go? The through line is really her champion mindset. And that doesn't matter if she's an athlete anymore, or if she's leading in her home, or if she's leading in a new career. That champion mindset is what makes Layla Ali. That is undeniable. So, I think that's like one of the most common things that we hear from our clients is, well, how do I do this without undermining all these things I've built? But it's just a new season of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much fun to work with.
Yeah. And I think it's also something to think about, is not letting your brand go stale, because your audience is growing with you. Keep that in mind. Your audience is growing with you. So if they're growing with you and your brand just stagnates and doesn't do anything, they're going to eventually get bored. They're going to reach a level to where they're like, I don't think this person can help me any further or take me any farther on this journey. And they're going to be starting to look for other mentors or other businesses that can fulfill that need. So your brand needs to evolve with you so that it can bring those customers up to that next elevated level.
Yeah. And that's so true. And I think that it's like, it just take that weight off your shoulders of not being able to shift or make a move or breathe. I
Yeah.
think like I was talking with a friend recently and they were asking me like, why is rebranding so important to you? Like, why is this the thing you're passionate about helping people with? And I just want people to show up as they are. Like, we
Mhm.
have so many things to juggle in a day, so many things to do in and out of our lives, like with family or with work, with all these things. I want the clients we serve to walk into a room and say, oh, I don't have to put on any kind of persona. I just get to be me. And the more
Yeah.
real you are, the less context switching you have to do. And then it really helps take away that sense of, oh, I have to do this certain thing all the time. And I think that ties right into the next fear that we see the most of. And Gretchen, I know you wanted to share a little bit about that. What do you see as another really big fear that our clients come to us with?
Yeah. Fear number two is I don't want to start over.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot because when it comes to rebranding, most people jump immediately to the, oh, I'm changing my visuals. Oh, I'm changing this.
I have to
All
burn
these
it all
things.
down.
Exactly. And it's like, no, 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 we're not asking you to start over. We're not asking you to create a new business. We're not, excuse me, we're not asking you to do anything different than you're already doing. We're asking you
Yeah.
to elevate what you're already doing. We're asking you to take that up to the next level that you already are functioning at. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're already functioning at that level, but the brand doesn't reflect that. And again, going back to that, you don't want the audience to see you as stale and then feeling like they need to go fulfill that need somewhere else. And so we're not asking anyone to start over when we talk about doing the rebrand. Are we going to go back to some basics? Maybe, depending on where that client is at, we might have
Yeah.
to go back and do some basics, but we are really truly taking where you're at and leveling that up, looking at,
Yeah.
okay, you were here 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now what has changed in that business? We need to bring that forward in the brand. We don't need to burn it all down and start something new.
Yeah.
If you're burning it all down and starting something new, you're starting a new business, and that's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah, it's a completely different conversation. But what's beautiful about this is, again, I mean, it even kind of dovetails into the first one we were talking about, but it's that your existing body of work is the foundation. And so
Mhm.
you get to build on that. It's not about getting rid of those things. It's about, hey, like shifting and showing your focus of how you grow. Because let's think about it. Every year we're growing and we're changing. We're doing something different. Thoughts we used to have are changing. Experiences that we're having are changing. So every single person in
The
this world
world is
is
changing.
is changing. Yes, we're evolving year to year and we're shifting and we're growing. So it is absolutely natural and makes perfect sense that that would want to shift and grow for you. And those assets that you already have are actually the fuel for you to go into your next chapter. And so it's something like I think we always love when you think of the people that you follow. I want to know what's new for them. Like, what are they up to? What are they thinking about? and
Yeah,
and so this is really your permission slip to start
right?
those conversations and to have those conversations. I think it's so important. And a lot of times, another fear that I see, the third fear that we run into often is, okay, well, I know I want to change, but my team can't see what I see. Like, how on
Yeah,
earth do I take all this information that's in my head, that's in my heart? How do I communicate this in a way that my team can actually absorb? There's this saying, I mean, a lot of different people have said it, but the one that sticks in my mind is from Mary Morrissey. You can't see the problem from inside the frame, right? You can't see the picture from inside the frame. And so your team is the same way. They're in this bubble. They're insulated. They're
yeah.
doing things the way they've always been done. Gretchen has lots of stories about that in
Oh
past
gosh.
careers and how much that will stagnate a team, right?
Yeah, it will.
But you don't need a new team. You just need an outside strategic eye that can say, look, I see the level you're at. Like, I can match you here. I understand the
Mhm.
energy. I understand the vision, and let me help you come up with that framework for how to communicate it. Because just as you're communicating new ideas to your audience, you're also doing it to your team. But I think that the way that we've seen to be most successful is like, how do we get the team excited about what the shift
Yeah,
means for them, and
yeah,
really kind of like bringing them into the vision. And look, a lot of times new things for you means that the team gets something fresh Like they get to kind of
Mm-hmm.
waken up and re-enliven some things that they have been maybe doing on autopilot. So when we can come at it from that approach and that kind of conversation with a team, when we're sitting in boardrooms with our clients and they have their team leads in there, that is exactly the way that we're helping them cast the vision. Is we're like, hey, look from this new perspective, all this work that you guys have done and built a foundation, and now it's given you that opportunity to elevate to this next level. And when you start having the conversation from that standpoint, that really shifts entire rooms.
Yeah. When we do the VIP experience, the first thing we ask is, okay, who are the key players on your team?
Yeah.
Because we want them in this room with you right now. Because if we're just meeting with the founder or founders and we're trying to extract that brand strategy out and get that next elevated, what's your vision for the next stage of your brand? If we don't have the team members in the room, then that's where the communication gap starts to hit. And again, it's that whole seeing outside of the frame. And when we've done a couple of these where we got to the end of it and the team member turned around and said, I learned more in the 3 days that we were in this intensive than I did in 9 years of working at this company. I think that's the exact quote. She said 9 years. And we were just like, okay, wow. And it wasn't because she wasn't paying attention or anything like that. It's because the vision for that next level and where the brand needed to go just wasn't being communicated to the team on a day-to-day basis, or in any capacity. Really, the founder had been, kind of batting around behind the scenes with a couple other people, like a husband or something like that, and really hadn't pushed that out. And once we sat down and we went through this whole exercise of, okay, what does your brand look like so that we can take it to the next level? That's when the eyes started opening to the team members and they really got excited and got on board. And I remember the whole year after that, where we were implementing that brand and rolling it out, they were just so excited about every new little thing that we were creating, whether that was just an update to an opt-in or creating some whole new funnel. I mean, it really took off, and it's because they latched onto the vision from that founder.
Yes. Yeah, they understood it and they felt it.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that this works whether you're a multi-7-figure founder who really is, it's like you and just one or two other team members. It works at that level. And it works at a level of, we've been in rooms where it's the top 25 leaders from this company that we worked with. I mean, that's a massive amount of people. So this works at any scale. And like Gretchen mentioned, it's the kind of thing that, the initial launch really kind of goes all in and has this big experience. And then you can look at, how do I, in the most sane way possible, roll out the rest of this rebrand through the different tiers of my company? Like, there's really ways to work with your team leaders to get them on board and to help them see how they can really sharpen up their systems, their processes, customer engagement. How can they sharpen all that up through these different tiers? So you don't have to wait until it's all done to do the launch. I think that's the wrong way to approach it. It's really about, how do we come up with that big core concept and how do we get that out there and in front of our audiences and excited while we implement the rest behind the scenes in a very strategic, formatted way. Like, if you really, we have a set system for this that we have had so many of our clients say, oh my word, I thought this was going to be so stressful and this was so organized. Of course, there's going to be some stress because it's new, people. So things are changing, right? So we're not going to deny that there's zero stress involved, but it is not as heavy of a lift as you think it is when you have a team that, number one, has your back and is all in and has that systemized process for how you can do that. And I think it's something that, like, you can really get excited about. Oh my gosh, I can bring my whole team online with this, and we can all be excited about where that's going to go. And so I think that's such a fun way to approach that. And, there are a lot more fears that we can get into here. And I think that we should turn this into a series, Gretchen, where we really just start breaking down those fears for people and really kind of sharing what those differences are. But I think the top 3 that we really wanted to talk about today are, will changing my brand cost me what I've already built? No, it won't. I don't want to start over. You don't have to, honey. All the work you've already done is the whole reason you get to keep going. And that other fear of my team can't see what I see. This is the perfect way to unite a team, to bring them together and get them all united for the same vision. So I hope this has been helpful today to hear a little bit about what happens behind the scenes, because at the end of the day, we're here to help you build the brand that you're meant to lead. I'm Trina.
And I'm Gretchen.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.